Hello and welcome everyone to the Faculty of Arts pre-enrollment session. Thank you guys all for joining us today. This session is titled Financing Your Education. We will be covering the basics on student financial assistance, student awards and scholarships. I see that there's some people who are still being admitted. Let me just that. Before we start, we do have a few housekeeping items we'd like to cover. So one, if you can please mute your microphone and turn off your video for the duration of the session. Number two, we will be posting the video and the presentation on the Faculty of Arts New Student website so that you can review and watch the video later. As I said, we will be sharing the link to the website in the chat later on. If you do have any questions for the presenters, please type your question into the chat below and we will be answering your questions after the presentation has concluded. The presentation will be about 30 minutes in length and we will be answering your questions until 3 p.m. And now I'm happy to introduce you to your presenters, Bianca and Matthew. If you please take it away.
Thank you so much, Rama, and welcome to all of our lovely folks joining us for this session for Faculty of Arts Pre-Enrollment, Financing Your Education. So all good sessions start with an agenda, so you know exactly what we're going through. So we're going to start with some introductions. I'll formally introduce myself, and then my co-host Matt will introduce himself as well. And then I'll give you a little bit of a snapshot of student financial assistance and who we're all about. Then Matt will take it away with student awards and scholarships, where he will cover scholarships, awards, and bursaries, entrance scholarships, award spring, as well as external scholarship opportunities. And then I will finish up the presentation going over some student financial assistance pieces, where we'll highlight the OSAP program, co-op, Career Boost, which is our on-campus employment program, as well as some budgeting and student saving tips. So, formal introduction, hello, my name is Bianca, and I'm Assistant Manager of Student Financial Assistance at Ryerson University, and I'm also a graduate of Ryerson. So I graduated from the Faculty of Arts Sociology program not too long ago, just in 2017, and I'm finishing up a certificate right now through Ryerson's Continuing Education School in Organizational Leadership. I'm also a career mentor through Ryerson's Tri-Mentoring program, which is a really great initiative, especially for students who are in their upper years, to be paired with a career mentor in an industry that they are interested in. So I always encourage students to check out the Tri-Mentoring program. It's also great for incoming students because you get paired with an upper year support. And some fun facts about me, I'm a huge video gamer, so I really love video games, but particularly retro video games, and I love to travel. I'm actually just getting back from a trip to Vancouver, which was very much needed.
Hello, everybody. My name is Matthew. I am the manager of student awards and scholarships at Ryerson University. I am a proud alumna of a Faculty of Arts program as well within contemporary studies. So I'm really happy to be presenting to Faculty of Arts students. I graduated a bit earlier in 2013. I do love cooking, I love baking, and I love to go hiking, as you can see by my photo there.
Thanks, Matt. So in terms of who we are, Student Financial Assistance is a small but mighty team of about 14 staff that are primarily responsible for administering the Ontario Student Assistance Program, OSAP for short, to about 40,000 Ryerson students every single year. But beyond the OSAP program, we also support many other portfolios, including out-of-province and US student loan funding, programs like FAFSA and Sallie Mae for any American students that may be tuning in. As I mentioned before, we support the Career Boost program, our on-campus employment program. We support the Emergency Bursary Assistance Program for students who have unforeseen or unexpected circumstances that arise during their academic year. And new, we also have a really robust financial literacy, budgeting, and money management for students, which I will cover briefly in the discounts and savings tips for students. You can also see that we are an award-winning team. So last year, we were very proud to accept the Student Choice Award for our Pride decorations. And last June, in the month of Pride, we decorated our office. We went all out. We had a really great story that went with it. So it was really nice to be honored by students. And earlier this year, we were the successful recipients of the Julia Hanningsberg Make Your Mark Staff Award in the area of client services. So although we are a small but mighty team, we are definitely very loving, and we put a lot of care and attention into the work that we do and the students that we serve. So you're probably tuning in and maybe a little bit nervous because this is likely the first time that you're going to be financially responsible for your own actions, especially if you're interested in a program like the OSAP program. And it can be quite daunting given that, potentially thousands of dollars that is coming into your hands for the first time. So I'm hoping that by the end of this presentation, you will be a little bit more comfortable talking finances. You'll understand a little bit more about the program and your responsibilities in maintaining your OSAP student loans, and just get a little bit more comfortable in terms of who to turn to for support. So I'm going to pass it off to Matt, who will get us started with student awards and scholarship.
Great. Thank you so much, Bianca. So in terms of financing education, the goal of the Student Awards and Scholarships Office is to provide you with the opportunity to apply for awards and scholarships based on the review of your merits, your academic achievements, and your community involvement. We also do help in administering bursary assistance along with student financial assistance. In essence, we provide you with free money that you do not have to repay if you are the successful recipient of an award or scholarship opportunity. Scholarships and awards can be a one-time disbursement, or they can be renewable for 4 calendar years or more based on meeting the criteria for renewal. Scholarships and awards are primarily based on academic criteria and merit that you achieve, whereas bursaries are considered a one-time disbursement, and it is funding that can be provided to you based on a combination of exceptional circumstances and financial need. Next slide, please. So for our most well-known guaranteed and renewable entrance scholarship, you may have been one of the students that may have received this scholarship. You must be enrolling in post-secondary studies for the first time and must be a current Canadian high school student. Entrance scholarship averages are calculated using an applicant's best 6 Ontario grade 12 university level or mixed level course final grades or Canadian provincial equivalents. Eligibility for the entrance scholarship is on a sliding scale. If your average from high school drops when entering the program, or if it increases, you can move up or down the scale so long as you meet the minimum average. If you are receiving the entrance scholarship, please keep in mind that the amount awarded to you on a yearly basis will be split equally between the fall semester starting in September and the winter semester starting in January. Next slide. So Award Spring is really your one-stop awards application when you become a current student. This will allow you to access all of the various award opportunities and scholarship opportunities, and is your one-stop awards application system. Award Spring will give you access to university-wide, faculty-wide, and program department-specific awards. As of August 17th, you can log on to Award Spring using your Ryerson ID and your password. You would complete a single application to be considered for 1,300 plus awards, scholarship, and bursary opportunities. This single application is a combination of information pertaining to your student record as well as information that you would self-report to get an accurate idea of what scholarships and awards you would be eligible to apply for. Please note as well that some awards may still require you to submit additional documentation, such as a letter of support or an essay, even a resume or cover letter, for example. And additional documentation can be submitted via Award Spring electronically. So more information about that can be found on our website. Next slide. Thank you. So there are other external scholarships available to students, and I encourage students attending Ryerson to always research external scholarship opportunities. Here are a few of those resources. That being said, any external scholarship opportunities are always going to be available to you as a student, and we definitely encourage you to look out for those. They're not all external scholarship opportunities will be posted on Award Spring. Those are only internal scholarship and award opportunities. Next slide. Great. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Matt, for covering awards, scholarships, and bursaries. Always nice to hear about free money. So I'm going to take it away and cover student financial assistance opportunities, and we will get started with the Ontario Student Assistance Program, OSAP for short. So you might be wondering, what is the OSAP program? OSAP is a government financial aid program that helps students pay for college or university, and it is an entirely needs-based assistance program, meaning that your funding eligibility is determined based on your individual student needs. So I just want to highlight the word individual. OSAP is a very highly individualized program. So your assessment's going to look very different from everybody else's. Even if you have a sibling that's also going to Ryerson or going to another institution, you will have completely different OSAP assessments. So we always encourage students to not compare their OSAP assessments, given that everyone has unique sets of circumstances. OSAP is also not designed to cover all costs of attendance. So attending higher education is actually a shared responsibility between the government, the student, and their family. So we always say that it's like a pie, and OSAP is a piece of the pie that helps to fund your career through higher education. And another important thing to note about the OSAP program is that you apply for it every semester or academic year. So it's not a program that you opt into once and then you're there for life. If you wish to continue receiving it by semester or by academic year, you do have to actively continue to enroll into that program. In terms of how OSAP funding is determined, like I said, it is a highly individualized program based on your personal financial situation. So we're talking things like your parental income, the size of your family, specifically the dependents that your parents might have, your income and savings, any major scholarships that you may have received, as well as if you are living at home or away from home during your studies. Further to how aid is determined, the amount of OSAP that you can receive depends on your unique circumstances. So the basic formula is that OSAP looks at your different educational costs, so things like books, your tuition, and your living expenses. And then it looks at the different financial contributions. So contributions from yourself as the student, from your parents or spouse or common law partner if you have one, as well as scholarships and bursaries that you may be entitled to. And then subtracting financial contributions from your educational costs, they determine your financial need based on OSAP. In terms of eligibility, to be eligible for OSAP, a student has to be a Canadian citizen, permanent resident, or protected person. They of course have to be an Ontario resident, given that it's an Ontario government financial assistance program. They need to be attending or entering an OSAP approved program and school. And as a side note, Ryerson is an OSAP approved school, and all of our undergraduate degrees are OSAP approved programs. And they need to be enrolled in or entering a certificate, degree, or diploma program that is a minimum of 12 weeks in length. So if you're coming into an undergraduate program, no need to worry, you definitely meet the threshold of a minimum of 12 weeks. It's great that all of our programs in our undergraduate faculty are OSAP approved, so that's not something that you would need to worry about. And if you're perhaps considering maybe the certificate route, you can log on to our student financial assistance website, ryerson.ca/student-financial-assistance, and we have an entire information by student groups page that lets you know the different certificate programs eligible for OSAP funding. Further to who is eligible for OSAP, students can still receive OSAP if they enroll in a public college or university program outside of Ontario. So while you may have committed to Ryerson at this point in time, perhaps down the road, you might want to go out of province for school. And that is definitely something that you're able to do and can still access the OSAP program for it. Students who also wish to study outside of Canada or at a private institution outside of Ontario can also be eligible for partial OSAP funding through the federal government. So this is a really neat thing if you are perhaps considering some experiential learning component where you go abroad, you are able to access the OSAP program to help with those costs. A common misconception that we often hear as student financial assistance advisors is that taking OSAP means that students will have a lot of money to pay back, but that's actually quite the contrary. OSAP offers two types of funding, loans versus grants, and not many people know that. A lot of folks think that the OSAP program is strictly loans. The difference between the two is that loans are repayable funding that the student pays back when they complete their studies, whereas grants is non-repayable funding. So you typically don't have to pay that back. And when you apply for OSAP, you are automatically considered for both loans and grants. So it's not two separate applications, it's just one application, and you're automatically considered for both. When you apply, you have the opportunity to choose if you would like grant-only funding, so not to be considered for loans. And it's important that if you do wish to receive grant-only funding, if you are eligible for it, that you indicate this at the time of applying. Otherwise, we may release your full funding of grants and loans, and then you would have to give back the loans to your lender, which is the National Student Loan Service Center. Another important thing to note is that if you opt for grant-only funding, this doesn't carry forward. So a couple slides ago, when I mentioned that OSAP is a program that you enroll into on a per semester or per academic year basis, it's important that every time you enroll into the program, if you wish to only be considered for grants, please indicate that on your application. In terms of funding disbursement, OSAP funding is automatically sent to the student's student account. At Ryerson, we call it your RAMS account, and it's applied against your tuition and other mandatory fees that Ryerson charges. So basically, when we remit funding or when we disperse funding, we first remit it to the institution to be applied to your any outstanding tuition or mandatory fees. And at that point, if there's funding left over, then that gets deposited into the bank account that you authorized when you applied for OSAP. So it is a really great initiative that OSAP does because it helps take the burden off of the student in having to transfer funds from their personal bank account into their student account. It's just automatically done by our office. So it is important that you are, of course, monitoring your OSAP account and monitoring your student account to see when the OSAP funding has been applied and that your fees are paid. There are ways in which you may be eligible for additional funding as well if you identify as one of the following. If you are an Indigenous student, a current or former Crown Ward, a student with a disability, either temporary or permanent, or a student who is deaf or hard of hearing studying outside of Canada. So if any of those student groups are ones that you identify with, please make sure you indicate that when you apply for the OSAP program, as there's additional resources in place for you. In terms of how to apply, OSAP is completely online, and especially since we are working remote, and this is great because there's no campus to access. So please, please, please don't submit anything to Ryerson Student Financial Assistance Office, the physical location, as everything can and should be uploaded online. So your first step is to go to ontario.ca/OSAP, and that's basically going to be your best friend of a website because it's going to house your OSAP application. It's going to be the place that you go to get updates from us as well as from the ministry. When you go to that website, you will click register if this is your first time accessing the OSAP program, and you will be asked to create an OSAP profile and be assigned what's called an OSAP access number, an OAN. So it's very important that you keep this number in a safe place. You will be prompted to complete the application, which is very easy. It's 4 simple sections, shouldn't take you more than 15 to 20 minutes tops. It will ask you some basic biographical information. It will ask you information about your parents' or spouse's income taxes from the previous taxation year. And it will also ask you some program and enrollment information as well. At the end, there will be a required documents page, which asks that you submit the outlined documents, which is unique to every student. And it's important that you upload the correct documents to your OSAP portal in order for your application to process. I know step 5 says upload, mail, or deliver documentation to the financial aid office, but please only upload. Like I said, we are working fully remote, and it is actually a lot faster to upload your documents because you don't run the risk of it getting lost in the mail or us not being able to process it since we don't really have access to campus. There will also be an opportunity to complete your MSFAA, which stands for your Master Student Financial Assistance Agreement. This is basically a loan agreement, a contract that you're entering into with the Government of Ontario, Government of Canada, as well as your lender, the National Student Loan Service Center, basically committing to taking out these student loans and paying it back when it's time. So it is important that you read this document in full because it is a legal contract that you are entering into. And then step 7 is tracking the status of your online application. So you can do so through your OSAP portal, and on our Student Financial Assistance website, we also update our document processing times twice a week, typically on Wednesdays and Fridays, so you know exactly where we are at with processing our documents. Some Ryerson tips to get your OSAP funding quick. Of course, applying for OSAP is the first step, but it's also important that you submit all of your required documents outlined on your OSAP portal in order for your funding to process. So applying is one thing, but you have to get your documents in as well for us to review and move your file forward. The faster you get your documents in, the sooner we can review it and the sooner we can disperse funding. Note that it takes about 4 to 7 weeks from the time that you submit your documents for us to review and get back to you. So with the semester starting in just a month, very important that you get those documents in urgently so that you can have funding in time for fall tuition fee deadline. And you can also view the specific OSAP deadline dates for applications and document submission on our Student Financial Assistance website. Really important thing coming up for all of you is choosing your courses during your enrollment appointment this month. So enrollment information is important not just for committing to classes that you will be taking in fall and winter, but from an OSAP perspective, it directly impacts what type of OSAP application you need to submit. So you could either be a full-time student for OSAP purposes or a part-time student for OSAP purposes. And this is all outlined on the OSAP website, so you'll know what constitutes a full-time or a part-time student. And it also helps us to confirm your enrollment faster when classes begin. So when you apply for OSAP, it's going to ask you how many courses you take, and each course is worth 20%. So for example, if you say you're taking 5 courses, that is a 100% course load. So it's important that the information that you put on your OSAP account matches what's on your RAMS account, because that clear match is what helps us to disperse funding. If you say one number on OSAP but have a different enrollment on RAMS, there's a mismatch, and so it takes us a little bit longer to confirm your enrollment since it can't be an automatic upload process. It's also important to make a habit of checking your OSAP application regularly. So we always encourage students to check their OSAP application at least once a week for any messages that may come through from our Student Financial Assistance Office or directly from the ministry. And a really important thing to note, which is probably very important to let your parents know, is that if your parents have set up a registered education savings plan in RESP, that income does not need to be declared on your OSAP portal. So again, if you have an RESP, that does not need to be declared on your OSAP portal. So we're going to pivot to earning while you learn and on-campus employment. So I mentioned earlier the Career Boost program, which is Ryerson's source for off-campus and on-campus job opportunities. And like I said, we are confirmed to be fully remote for fall. So I'm very happy to note that the Career Boost program is also going to be offered fully remote. So you don't have to worry about going to campus if you wish to work a Career Boost position. Everything that is posted online are roles that can be fulfilled from the comfort of your home. So the Career Boost program is open to full-time undergraduate students who are Canadian citizens or permanent residents. And yes, first-year students can apply. I always encourage first-year students especially to apply because it helps you understand not just different operations of the university, but it's a great way to just feel a little bit more connected and to make friends with other Career Boost students, whether they're working with you or in different departments. There is also the Career Boost International program for students who are international. It's a little bit of a different process. So if you are an international student tuned in right now, please reach out to careerboost@ryerson.ca to understand the different job opportunities available to international students. There are hundreds of on-campus jobs available each year, and some things include research assistant positions, working in social media and events, the campus gym. You could work in software and technology design, the registrar in university operations, or so much more. Both Matt and I actually started out as Career Boost students, and I worked in the service hub when I was a student for 2 years, and then that was my first job after I graduated. So it is also a great opportunity if you are maybe interested in working in higher education, could be a good foot in the door. I definitely didn't know that working in higher education would be something that interested me, but after working on campus for 2 years, I definitely found a bit of a home, and so perhaps you'll find a home in a campus job as well. If you are interested in working on campus, that application will launch on our Career Boost website actually next Friday, August 14th. So please stay tuned for the application launch date, but you are welcome to start viewing and applying to all of the job postings that are listed on the website, and any offer you get would be conditional on securing full Career Boost eligibility. There's also cooperative education. So co-op is great because these are paid opportunities and it connects students with employers through paid productive workplace learning opportunities. Ryerson does offer a lot of different co-op programs. Typically they're in our Faculty of Science, Engineering, and Architectural Science, and our Ted Rogers School of Management. But there are a lot of opportunities coming to different arts departments. So please stay tuned. Your department advisors will definitely be keeping you all in the loop on different co-op or internship opportunities available to you. Almost done. Last section, budgeting and other student savings tips. Hopefully you're with me so far. I know it is a lot of information, particularly the OSAP section, but as a reminder, you will be getting a recording of this presentation so you can listen to it as many times as you wish. So a really important thing about money management is learning how to budget. And budgeting can be a daunting task, so it's always best to plan ahead. So things like applying for scholarships through that AwardSpring platform that Matt mentioned earlier. Again, you will get access to that on August 17th, but there's also external scholarship opportunities that you can apply for. It's also important to file your taxes, particularly for OSAP purposes. It is important that your taxes are up to date. So if you haven't filed taxes yet for the previous taxation year, please do so because that information is needed. It's also important to set Ryerson up as a payee for your online banking so that you can pay your tuition ahead of time. So at Ryerson, we take payments through online banking simply by adding Ryerson as a payee, and your account number is the student number that you are assigned at Ryerson. You can also apply for jobs. So like I said, the Career Boost program, you can start applying for jobs right now, and the application will launch next Friday. And the most important thing is creating that detailed budget form and sticking to it. So we've actually included a hyperlink with a really great budget form of your different expenses and the different sources of funds. It already has all of the formulas embedded into it. So all you have to do is plug in the numbers and the formulas will do the work for you. And as a reminder, you will be getting an email that includes all of the hyperlinks that are in this presentation. So please, please, please download the Excel version of this budget form and use it and stick to it. That way you are working for your money is not working for you. In terms of commuting, I know, like I said, we are confirmed to be remote for fall, but we never know for winter. Might still be going back to campus, and so I thought it would be great to let you know about the different commuting costs that you can be saving on. So we are actually largely a commuter school. About 85% of students, faculty, and staff commute to Ryerson, myself included. I commute from Brampton, and I take GO Transit. So the GO Transit student ID card provides eligible full-time students with discounted fare using their Presto card. So you're able to link your student card and your Presto card together. Of course, first you need to get a Presto card. So if you haven't, please visit the Presto website so that you're able to do so. And then from June 1st to August 15th, apply for your Ryerson student card, also known as your One card, on the website. And then in August, so this month, you'll be applying for your GO Transit student ID card. And then once you get both of them, you can visit any GO station so that your GO card and Presto card can be associated together and save you money. I did put a little note there that the process for GO Transit might be changing slightly as they're exploring a new application process. So just be sure to stay tuned to the hyperlinks for any updates on their end. If you are more local in the Toronto area, there is also the Toronto Transit Commission, TTC, and you can save on commuting costs there. So if you're enrolled in a full-time degree or diploma program, you can apply for a post-secondary student monthly Metro Pass. I've included that hyperlink. And that's a really great tool to help you save money as well. Honestly, saving money as a student, everything adds up, especially with GO Transit. When I went from being a student to paying full adult fares, I definitely felt the difference. So anywhere that you can save costs, I highly encourage you to explore. In terms of other discounts and savings tips, always ask for discounts everywhere. Your Ryerson One card is a great way to get discounts on campus. You can put money on your One card actually for cheaper pricing on many campus vendors. A lot of the restaurants around campus also accept the One card for discounts. So if you are eating at a restaurant around campus, always advise to flash your Ryerson One card and see if they give you a discount on your meal or your beverage purchase. And there's also the SPC card, so the student price card, which many of you may already be familiar with. This is a really great card. There's dozens and dozens of partnerships that SPC has with different car rental companies, different travel agencies, foods, restaurants, beverages, clothing. So it's a very nominal fee. It's about $10 or $11 for the SPC card, and it's good for a year. I still use an SPC card because I'm still considered a student. And it's, like I said, a really great way to continue saving money. And your banking institution is also your friend. So I know that talking about finances is not the greatest topic sometimes, and it could be really daunting and a really overwhelming process. But the more you become comfortable with talking about money, the easier it is to manage your money and the more comfortable you get. So I always advise students to chat with your bank about budgeting tools and financial advice to help manage your educational funds. And your financial advisors often have really great advice for you. So it's great to get their perspective and to also chat with us and student financial assistants so you can make sure that you're really maximizing your funding. A really great way to save big is by saving big on textbooks. So I know it sounds kind of counterintuitive, but if you can, try to hold off on purchasing your textbook until the first class. So the reason why I say that is because often with textbooks, sometimes you can get an earlier edition of a textbook as opposed to the latest edition. Often the changes in textbooks from edition to edition is very, very small. Could be the addition of just another chapter. And sometimes that chapter might not actually be something that you're covering in that class. So personally, in my certificate, I have always waited before purchasing my textbook. I always ask the professor if it's advised that I can use an older edition, and if it is, then what I should look out for. So having those conversations with your professor can, one, help get in your professor's good graces because they know you, but also it helps you save money because textbooks can be very, very expensive. It's also important to try not to buy new textbooks. Old textbooks work the exact same. If you are okay with a used textbook, then I always encourage students because you could be paying like half off the cost of if it was new. I already mentioned that older edition textbooks may work, but Ryerson also has a Ryerson textbook collection available through our Ryerson library. So our library has many textbooks on reserve for short-term loans. So if you are perhaps in a bind and you're not able to purchase the textbook, perhaps on time for the fall semester, if the Ryerson textbook collection through the Ryerson library has your book available, then you're able to contact them for a short-term rental. There's also PDFs or free ebooks. So if you are okay with not having a physical textbook and you're okay with an online textbook, a lot of publishers actually put their content online for free, especially older edition textbooks, or there may be free ebooks on their website too. So definitely check with the publisher to see if they have some goodies for you. And then there's always Amazon. So rather than purchasing maybe directly from the campus bookstore, you could always go onto Amazon. There's also Facebook buy and swap pages like Ryerson Textbook Market, where students buy, swap, and sell their old textbooks. So if you are not part of Ryerson Textbook Market on Facebook, I definitely encourage that. Students are already starting to sell their old textbooks. So a quick search of the group will let you know the textbooks that are available, and then you can connect with students and, again, save more money. And then I wanted to highlight some websites for student deals and tips. So our student affairs team does a really good job of sort of putting all of the student deals that are available to Ryerson students in one concise spot. So you can find that on studentlife.ryerson.ca/deals. This isn't an exhaustive list because there's always deals that are coming to Ryerson students, but they do their best to stay on top of updating any new deals that are specific just for Ryerson students. And then newly launched just this morning, our student financial assistance team has actually made an entire webpage on our website called Financing Your Education, which is largely pulling from this presentation and also has some extra tips on ways that you can maximize your funding. So if you don't perhaps want to listen to the recording all over again, please check out ryerson.ca/student-financial-assistance/financing your education for a really good overview of different ways that you can manage your money. And that's it. That is the presentation on financing your education. So we are going to stay online until 3 p.m. Matt and I will be answering your questions through the Q&A, so please continue to put your questions through there. But in the meantime, I do want to leverage just 3 quick helpful resources. Like I mentioned earlier, the OSAP website, if you are interested in the OSAP program, please apply, ontario.ca/OSAP. Our Ryerson Student Financial Assistance website, ryerson.ca/student-financial-assistance. And then the Ryerson Student Guide. So I'm not sure if you've heard, but we have an entire website dedicated to incoming students so they can understand all of their different priorities and options and opportunities available to them, not just from financial assistance, but from things like enrollment or tuition, deadlines and how to pay fees, different things related to awards and scholarships, different things related to course intentions and what that even means. So you can find this Ryerson Student Guide at ryerson.ca/student guide. And like I said, it's a really great just one-stop shop for everything available to incoming students to make sure that you have it checked off. So I'm going to pass the floor back over to Rama. I am going to close my camera. I'm going to start answering your great questions through the Q&A. Thank you so much for joining us and hope to virtually see you in the near future.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bianca. Thank you so much, Matthew. As Bianca mentioned before, this presentation will be available on the Faculty of Arts new student website. You should have received a link to the website in the welcome letter that was sent to you by your program administrator. This recording will be available on the website. As Bianca mentioned, we'll be staying on till 3 p.m. to answer any questions that you may have had in the chat. I will also leave my contact information if you do have any questions related to the other pre-enrollment sessions that you may have attended or any questions for your previous presenters. The schedule for the rest of our sessions is available on our Faculty of Arts Twitter, Facebook, as well as Instagram account. So if you just type in RU Faculty of Arts in Instagram, you should be able to get a link to our pre-enrollment session schedules, as well as checking your inbox frequently to see any correspondence from myself, from Hiloli, or your program administrators. I will be sending a link as well in the chat to our new student website, as well as a course that we are offering for the fall called SSH 102. This is a learning and development strategies course, and it's a collaboration between the Faculty of Arts and Thriving in Action, or Thrive RU. The course does start August 19th, but this is a free course that we are offering, and so we're very excited for it. I will be pasting the link for more information in the chat below as well. So thank you guys so much again for joining us. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. And of course, we'll see you guys, we'll see you all very soon, hopefully.